Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex sources, pull out the key insights, and basically help you get up to speed fast.
Today we're diving into Genghis Khan.
Right. And not just the usual story of conquest. We're looking at how this figure, often just seen as, a destroyer, actually shaped the modern world you live in.
Yeah, it's a deeper story than most people think.
Yeah.
And we're drawing this from a really comprehensive text. It pulls together historical accounts, archaeology, even experiences of researchers on the ground.
Okay, so let's start with a bit of a mystery. It's 1937. Stalin's purges are hitting Mongolia hard, thousands executed, culture destroyed,
A terrible time.
and something disappears from a monastery. Genghis Khan's soul banner, the Suldi.
Ah, the soldi. It's hard to overstate its significance. For these warrior herders, you'd take hair from your best stallions, tie it to a spear.
So more than just a flag.
Oh, much more. It was his identity, his guardian, channeling power from the sky, the wind. The belief was, when you died, your spirit literally went into that banner. It was his soul.
And he had two. A white one for peace, a black one for war.
Exactly. The white one vanished way earlier. But the black one, his war banner, that's what disappeared in 37. Still missing.
Wow. Losing something like that. It must leave a huge hole in a culture's identity.
It does. It shows history isn't just facts. It's symbols, beliefs, things people hold sacred.
So let's go back. How does someone born into, well, nothing, become Genghis Khan? Temujin, they called him.
Right, Temujin. And his childhood was brutal. Outcast family, left to die, basically.
Yeah.
Violence everywhere. He actually killed his own half-brother over food.
He killed his brother.
Yeah, begged her. And then Temujin himself was kidnapped, enslaved, managed this legendary escape. It's grim stuff.
It really paints a different picture, not just the mighty conqueror from day one.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Apparently he was afraid of dogs as a kid, cried easily. His younger brother was stronger. But from that, from hunger and humiliation, he started climbing.
And relationships were key, right? Even early on.
Absolutely crucial. Two stand out. First, his Andesbon sworn brotherhood with Jamuka. Yeah. They exchanged toys as kids, like a knucklebone. Later, whistling arrowheads. This bond, sometimes sealed with a bit of blood sharing a blanket, was seen as stronger even than family. Unwavering loyalty.
And the other.
His wife, Borte, his first and main wife, lifelong love. Her later kidnapping was actually a catalyst for his first major campaigns.
Just surviving sounds like it took incredible resilience. How did the family manage day to day?
His mother, Hulin, was the hero there. Tireless. Searching for food, digging roots with a juniper stick, finding berries, day and night.
And Temujin helped?
He did what he could. Hunted rats with little bone-tipped arrows, bent his mother's sewing needles into fish hooks. They were at the absolute bottom rung wearing dog and mouse skins. You just can't imagine the grit it took.
It's hard to fathom, but that hardship, combined with their upbringing, must have forged amazing skills.
Totally. Mongol kids, boys and girls, were practically born on horseback, riding bareback by age 4.
Or, seriously.
Jousting while standing on the horse, archery, lassoing. These weren't just games, it was life and death training.
And that training had huge implications later, right? Militarily.
Massive. Unlike other armies bogged down with foot soldiers, Mongols could ride and fight on frozen rivers. The Volga, the Danube's supposed barriers in Europe, just became highways for them. They'd show up when least expected. That early skill gave them this incredible strategic edge.
Beyond the physical skills, what about their spiritual world?
Deeply animistic, worshipping the eternal blue sky, nature spirits. And central to this was Burkhan Khaldun, the god mountain.
The source of rivers, close to the sky.
Exactly. For Temujin, it was pivotal. He hid there, prayed there for 3 days once. That started this intense spiritual connection. He believed the mountain gave him special protection, real power. This wasn't just military leadership, it was spiritual authority too.
And he wasn't afraid to shake things up to build power. The Jurchen lineage, for instance.
Right. They outranked him, betrayed him by skipping a campaign. So Temujin holds a Kuriltai, a council.
And executes their leaders.
Yep. Pretty radical, sent a shockwave through the aristocracy. But then he did something even more unexpected.
What was that?
Instead of just looting the remaining Jurchen, he broke up their clan and distributed the people among his own followers. His mother even adopted an orphan boy from them, making him Temujin's younger brother.
Fictive kinship.
Exactly. Revolutionary stuff. It turned conquered enemies into family, basically. Gave them a stake in the future. It broke that old cycle of revenge and feuding, building a totally new kind of loyalty beyond blood ties.
But power attracts rivals, even within his own circle. Teb Tendri, the shaman.
Ah, yes. Temujin was powerful. He'd initially backed Temujin, said the sky favored him, but he got too ambitious, tried to turn Temujin against his brothers, especially Khazar. It got dangerous.
So how did that resolve?
Borte, his wife, stepped in. She saw the threat Temujin posed to her sons, to the whole lineage. She knew his spiritual authority was challenging the Khan's political power.
So she pushed back.
She did. Ultimately, Temujin's youngest brother, Temujin, confronted Temujin, pretended it was a wrestling match, dragged him outside the jury, broke his back, left him there to die. It was brutal, but it showed everyone. Genghis Khan's authority was absolute, even over powerful shamans. And, it probably convinced a lot of Mongols he had his own powerful connection to the spirits. Solidified everything.
Okay, picture this scene. Temujin's betrayed by Ong Khan, his ally. He's at rock bottom, Lake Baljuna. Maybe it was a river, sources differ. Just 19 men left.
19 men. And from 9 different tribes, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, only 2 were actually Mongols. Total disaster.
What comes out of that? Defeat seems certain.
But it wasn't defeat. It was a turning point. Right there, drinking muddy water, they swore this oath. Eternal allegiance. The Baljuna Covenant.
What made it so special?
It wasn't based on family or tribe or religion. It was pure loyalty, pure commitment between these desperate men. It's almost like, a modern idea of civic duty, of citizenship. He became the symbol for the whole Mongol nation. He was building unity based on shared purpose, not just blood.
Amazing. And then came 1206, the big Kurultai by the Anan River.
Yeah, near his sacred mountain. He's proclaimed Genghis Khan, ruler of all Mongols. And his first move, laws. The Great Law, the Yasa.
To stop the infighting.
Exactly. Suppress feuds, unite everyone. But it wasn't like other law codes based on, divine texts or old city traditions. It was rooted in steppe customs, but radically reshaped to build his new society. He allowed local traditions, but imposed this supreme common law over everyone.
And these laws sound surprisingly modern.
In many ways, yes. Socially, he got rid of the whole black bone versus white bone status thing. Everyone was just Mongol, part of his following.
And family law.
Big changes. No more kidnapping Mongol women for marriage. No selling women into marriage. All kids were legitimate. Wife or concubine didn't matter. And adultery, defined narrowly, only if it caused public trouble between different households. It was about stability.
Practical. And economically. Nomadic life depends on animals.
Absolutely critical. Animal theft became a capital crime. He remembered his own family losing their horses. And get this, he set up a huge lost and found system for stray animals across the empire.
A lost and found for livestock.
Yeah. And environmental rules, too. No hunting during breeding season, March to October. To protect the herds, ensure food for winter. These were blueprints for survival on a grand scale.
What about holding rulers accountable? That sounds radical.
It really was. The law applied to everyone, from the Khan down to the lowest herder. Think about that compared to divine right monarchs elsewhere. Plus, diplomatic immunity for all envoys, even enemies. No hostage-taking. And he abolished torture. Stark contrast to Europe or the Middle East then. It was this legal framework that really held the empire together, creating that new identity.
But to make these laws stick, to run an empire, you need records.
Right. And even though Genghis Khan himself couldn't read or write, he knew its importance. He ordered the adoption of a writing system.
Uyghur script.
Yes, derived from Syriac, for administration, for recording the laws, a massive step towards a unified state that wasn't just based on word of mouth.
It connects to that idea of his architecture not being stone buildings.
Exactly. It was nations, connections, and literally bridges. He built more bridges than anyone before him. To move armies, yes, but also goods, ideas.
And that movement sparked incredible exchange, didn't it?
Unprecedented. German miners end up in China, Chinese doctors in Persia, lemons, carrots go east, noodles, playing cards, tea go west. He even funded churches, temples, schools across different faiths. He wasn't just conquering, he was connecting the world, acting as this, unrivaled cultural carrier.
Okay, fast forward to 1210. A delegation from the rulers of northern China arrives. They demand submission.
And Genghis Khan's response, he spits at the envoy.
Bold move. That means war.
Definitely. But first, the Kurultai. He gathers his people, his allies like the Uyghur. Everyone needs to be on board, understand the stakes. Then, crucially, he goes off alone, prays on a mountain for 3 days.
Seeking guidance from the eternal blue sky.
Always. He comes back, delivers the verdict. The eternal blue sky has promised us victory and vengeance. It's that mix again, spiritual certainty and strategic unity.
And the war that followed, it changed the world.
A true world war, Within 30 years, Mongols conquer from the Pacific to the Mediterranean, Indus to the Danube. Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, everyone felt their power.
What made their army so unstoppable?
It was completely different. All cavalry. No slow infantry. They traveled light, lived off the land, milked their mares, hunted. Marco Polo wrote they could ride for 10 days straight, drinking horse blood, carrying dried milk curds. That mobility was just insane.
How did they coordinate over vast distances?
Decimal units, spreading out for pasture. And since literacy wasn't widespread, orders were oral, composed in rhyme, sung like songs passed down the line, easy to memorize, transmit accurately. Pretty clever system for a non-literate command structure.
And psychologically, they were masters of that too.
Oh yeah, the famous feigned retreat, the dogfight. Lure the enemy in, wear them out, then turn and destroy them. They turned enemy strengths into weaknesses, big populations, great conscript labor, human shields, fill moats with prisoners. Very. Panicked refugees would clog the roads, messing up enemy logistics. And they deliberately spread stories of horrific slaughter. Terror was a weapon.
Yeah.
Plus, they adopted tech siege engines built on the spot. Jurst fire lances, early gunpowder weapons like mortars, cannons. They learned fast.
The destruction. After Zhongdu, you said he made looting more systematic.
Yes. Less chaos, more efficiency, sadly. Empty the city first, people, animals, everything, then sort them. Soldiers killed, skilled workers taken, others used as human shields or moat fill, the rest slaughtered. The rich and powerful executed immediately to decapitate the society. Methodical annihilation. And all this conquest had huge economic ripple effects. Silk, for instance.
It started flowing north to the steppes, didn't it?
Massively. Suddenly, silk wasn't just a luxury. Mongols used it for everything. Packing, ropes, tents. Demand exploded. Novelties became necessities, as the text says. It fueled more conquest and literally tied the world together with new trade routes.
But even as the empire expanded, there were cracks forming within his sons.
Yeah, tensions were high, especially between Jochi and Chagatai. Always rivals.
And this caused problems.
Big problems. The siege of Urgench is a key example. Took 6 disastrous months because the brothers couldn't cooperate. They ended up just destroying the city completely. Fire, flood, everything.
What did Genghis Khan learn from that?
A hard lesson. Conquering an army isn't the same as ruling a nation. And maybe keep conquered people divided, don't let them unite against you. He even told Jochi and Chagatai to set up their camps far apart, rule their own areas. He saw the danger of internal fighting.
After Genghis, his son Ogedei takes over, builds a capital, Karakorum.
He does. But Karakorum, it never really felt like home to the Mongols. They preferred their sagers, their nomadic life. The city became more like a giant warehouse, a workshop.
A sign of change.
Definitely. The start of what the source calls civilized decadence. Ogedei liked his drink, spent lavishly. That nomadic simplicity started to fade. They needed more conquests just to pay for the lifestyle.
And that led them to Europe.
After careful planning, yes. 2 years of prep. The Russian cities were disunited, couldn't stand against them. The Battle of the Kalka River in 1223 was a massacre. Something like only 1 in 10 Russian soldiers made it back.
And that horrific punishment for the captured prince.
Prince Mstislav, yeah. He'd killed Mongol envoys, a huge taboo. So the Mongols laid them down, put heavy felt rugs or platforms over them, and feasted on top while they were crushed to death. A brutal, symbolic message. Don't mess with our ambassadors.
Europeans must have been terrified and confused.
Utterly. They saw the Mongols as God's punishment, cannibals from hell. Wild theories flew around. Maybe they were looking for the bones of the 3 kings in Cologne, or they were lost Jewish tribes back from exile. Just shows how little they understood.
Why did the Mongols leave Europe then?
Well, it wasn't military defeat. Honestly, there wasn't much loot compared to Asia, but they found another way to profit.
Selling prisoners.
Exactly. Especially young people. Italian merchants in Crimea brought them up, Slavs, Kipchaks mostly, sold them on to the Sultan of Egypt for his Mamluk army. Ironically, setting the stage for future battles where Mongols would face warriors trained in their own style. Cynical, but effective business.
Then came a really interesting period, women ruling the empire.
Yeah, after Ogedei died, things got complex. His wife, Torjin, a Christian, not even Mongol, ruled as regent for nearly a decade. Then Guyuk's widow, Ogul Gaimish.
And then Surkutani, mother of Monkey and Kublai.
Right, she was incredibly shrewd. Orchestrated her son Munka's rise to power, held the crucial Kurultai back in the sacred Mongol homeland to give it legitimacy, outmaneuvering rivals. These women were major players, bringing in outside talent, ensuring continuity. Shows Mongol power wasn't just a male domain.
But it wasn't peaceable, was it, these internal power struggles?
Far from it. The purges under Guyuk and Monkey are vicious. Torigene's advisor, Fatima, accused of witchcraft. The description is horrific. Stripped, beaten, flogged with hot rods, orifices sewn shut, rolled in felt, drowned.
That sounds alien to Genghis Khan's earlier rule.
It does. Shows how brutal family politics could get. Monkey also executed dozens from rival lines, stuffing princes' mouths with stones and dirt. Ruthless consolidation of power.
Yet Monkey also had this vision, the Silver Tree Fountain in Karakoram.
Amazing piece of engineering and symbolism. A fountain shaped like a tree, with silver pipes dispensing different drinks, wine, fermented mare's milk, rice wine, mead from serpent mouths into a basin, representing the four corners of the empire.
And his approach to religion.
Very pragmatic. He famously said, just as God gave different fingers to the hands, so has he given different ways to men. He'd host debates between Christians, Muslims, Buddhists. Apparently, they'd often end up drinking and singing together. He personally preferred his shamans, thought they helped people live in peace, tolerance for stability's sake.
So Monkey gets things organized, takes censuses, and then points the empire back towards conquest.
Back to his grandfather's unfinished business. He sends his brother Hulegu west to deal with the Arab Caliphate, and his other brother Kubilai south to finish conquering the Sung dynasty in China.
Hulegu in Baghdad.
A classic Mongol campaign. The Caliph in Baghdad was defiant, underestimated them. Hulegu brought overwhelming force, including that advanced gunpowder tech exploding projectiles, maybe even proto-cannons, breached the walls.
And the Caliph's execution.
Again, that symbolic bloodless death reserved for royalty, wrapped in carpets or sacks, then trampled by horses or kicked to death. Utter humiliation, the end of a dynasty.
But the empire's peak was fragile. Monk dies suddenly.
In 1259, campaigning against the Sung, probably dysentery, and his death just froze everything. The momentum stopped. Civil war erupted, mainly between Kubilai and his brother Erik Bokeh, fighting for the throne. Kubilai eventually won, but in the process he actually looted and destroyed Karakoram. The Silver Tree was dismantled. The empire fractured into four main khanates. The unified dream was over.
Kublai Khan then focuses on China, and his approach was different, wasn't it?
Completely different. Genius in a way. He realized brute force wasn't enough to hold China. He had to win hearts and minds, become more Chinese than the Chinese.
How did he manage that?
Established a Chinese-style capital, Dadu, that's basically Beijing, took a Chinese dynastic name, Yuan, set up a Chinese administration, but crucially, inside Dadu, he kept a Mongol zone, a forbidden city where the court still lived in years, spoke Mongol, kept their traditions, masterful balancing act.
In this era, the Pax Mongolica is when global connections really boomed.
Absolutely. The YAM system, those postal relay stations, became arteries for trade, not just messages. Imagine reliable routes across Eurasia. And the Pesa.
The passport and credit card combo.
Pretty much. A tablet, gold, silver, wood guaranteeing safe passage, provisions, tax exemption. People like Marco Polo relied on it. It opened up the world.
They even had a kind of Mongol corporation.
The Gubi system, yeah. Shares of wealth from across the empire went to the Golden family members. It turned conquest writs into commercial highways. Persian silks, jewels to China, Chinese porcelain, medicine to Persia. It was like early venture capitalism funding this vast network.
And the flow of knowledge was just as important as goods.
Hugely important. Mongols made culture portable. Persian doctors to China, Chinese doctors and techniques like acupuncture west, hospitals, training centers for both Eastern and Western medicine. The first book on Chinese medicine published outside China happens under them. Think about the impact.
They were standardizing things too. Calendars, history.
Yes, an academy for calendrical studies to sync time across the empire. A national history office writing histories of conquered peoples. Kubilai even tried creating a universal script, the Phagspa script, for all languages in the empire. Didn't quite stick, but the ambition. And they massively boosted Chinese drama, raised the status of performers, laying groundwork for Peking opera. Notably, less public torture and animal fights than contemporary Europe.
But even Kubilai faced limits. Imperial overstretch.
Definitely. His attempts to invade Japan and Java by sea were disasters. Huge fleets built too quickly, poor quality ships, didn't understand tropical conditions or naval warfare like they understood land. The sea defeated them.
And personally, he became less like Genghis Khan.
Much less. Lived in luxury. Hunted from a pavilion carried by elephants, changed hunting laws for his own comfort, lavish feasts, special white mare's milk flown in. A definite slide into decadence, far from the steppe simplicity.
Then comes the catastrophe. The Black Death.
The ultimate disruptor. Originating in South China, likely spread along those very Mongol trade routes carried by Mongol warriors and merchants.
Devastating Europe.
A third to half the population wiped out. But it also shattered the Mongol system itself. That system depended on constant movement people, goods, armies, information. The plague stopped all that dead.
And the empire fractured completely.
Yeah. Trade collapsed. No reinforcements could get through. Each part of the empire was on its own. In Persia and Russia, the Mongols eventually assimilated, converted to Islam. In China, Kublai's successors got harsher, tried suppressing Chinese culture, which led to rebellion and their overthrow. The whole thing just unraveled. Most Mongols were killed, absorbed, or just went back to Mongolia, back to nomadic life, almost like the empire was just a temporary detour.
It's incredible how long the idea of the Mongol Empire lasted, though. Columbus.
Right, 1492, nearly 2 centuries after Kublai's peak, Columbus sails west, hoping to find the Great Khan. He's carrying Marco Polo's book.
And that's why he called the people he met Indians.
Exactly. He thought he was near India, which Polo described as neighbors to the Khan's lands. Shows how powerful that Mongol narrative remained in Europe, even after the reality faded.
But Western views shifted dramatically later. Voltaire.
Yeah, Enlightenment thinkers use Genghis Khan as a negative example. An ignorant, cruel villain, a wild Scythian. They used him to critique their own monarchies, painting Mongols as hating art, wanting to turn the world into a desert. A useful caricature.
And that fed into racist science later.
Tragically, yes.
Hmm.
The whole 19th, 20th century Mongoloid racial classification for Asians, Native Americans, it was appalling. Even used to explain developmental disabilities in white children, suggesting they were somehow throwbacks. Mongol expatriates, a disgusting misuse of history.
Then the 20th century flips it again. Asians reclaim him.
Kind of ironic, isn't it? As Asian nations fought colonialism, some intellectuals embraced Genghis Khan as a symbol of Asian power against European dominance. But at the same time,
The Soviets in Mongolia were doing the opposite.
brutally suppressing his memory, executing scholars, destroying artifacts, forbidding his name. That sold it, the soul banner, vanished for good under them in the 60s, trying to erase history.
Yeah, but now there's a rediscovery, a new understanding.
There is. Modern researchers going back, working with local herders who still carry history in their songs, their traditions, visiting places like Burkhan Khaldun, doing ceremonies with elders. It connects you to that ancient world, that living history. It brings a different kind of respect.
So we end up with this figure, Genghis Khan. Barbarian destroyer to some, unifier, lawgiver, facilitator of global exchange to others. It's such a contradiction.
It really is. He established international law, protected diplomats, sparked unprecedented trade and knowledge sharing. He also presided over immense destruction and slaughter.
So the final thought for you listening,
Yeah.
how do you hold those two things together? How do we understand figures like this, who were both destroyers and creators? And what does his complicated legacy tell us about power, change, and how our own interconnected world came to be?